Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and this video is going to be covering the 10X event for some Night Revenant champions that will be starting tomorrow and getting you all caught up on what is going on in-game currently for raids. So let's get into it. Alrighty, so the first thing I want to do slash touch on in terms of things going on in the community right now is I was checking Reddit this morning, and I see a lot of people talking about the next battle pass being canceled and like what's going on and all this. That's not true. The battle pass has not been canceled. What happened is it's going to be delayed a little bit. So I've been telling you guys since the last battle pass ended, do not expect the next battle pass until at least June. It's looking like now it might be July. So it got, for whatever reason, you know, I'm on your side. I agree with you. I'm frustrated too. I would have rather had a short battle pass with one or two champions in it than nothing for 3 or 4 months. So I'm on your side, and me and a lot of the other content creators are definitely communicating on your behalf about that frustration about the battle pass. But just wanted to clarify that because I see a lot of people confused on Reddit. It's not canceled. There will be another battle pass as far as we know. It's just going to be delayed a little bit, and instead of coming out sometime in June, it looks like it might be sometime in July, unfortunately. So just wanted to clear that up really quick because I was seeing a lot of chatter about that in the community. But yeah, in terms of the you won't see this teased in game yet or anything. They've kind of told us this behind the scenes, that we can, you know, go ahead and kind of prepare for a ×10 event for some Night Rev champions, and they are going to be Hegemon, Soulless, Bistafist, Tomb Lord, Doom Priest, Miscreated Monster, Whisper, and Faceless. Now, if you're a subscriber of mine or if you've watched any of my videos, you probably know the drill by now on these ×10s. It seems like Plarium kind of uses them as a stopgap to kind of, you know, fill in the blanks while we're in between, you know, big things going on, and they just kind of throw them in there to kind of give people incentive to pull shards, you know, here and there. But my general sentiment is they are typically not worth it. They're usually worth it for a very specific subset of people, which is people who are pretty high spenders that are looking for a specific champion. That would be the people that these make sense for. So in this scenario, the crown jewel of this is going to be either Hegemon or Miscreated Monster. Now, Hegemon is obviously the newer Void legendary that has this passive. Always goes first each round, and this can be insane for the arena, you know, with the block cooldown skills and decreased attack. And there's lots of really cool things you can do with Hegemon, and if you get really good gear on him, my alarm's going off here. If you get really good gear on him, he can be like a nightmare campaign farmer, and he can do some pretty cool things. Would I go crazy on your void shards for a Hegemon when we're outside of a boosted void rate? No, personally, I wouldn't, unless you are a really high spender who just really wants Hegemon. Then I guess it would make sense for you to kind of go ahead and go for it now, you know, better than ever. But even for that person, I would recommend, you know, holding off and slamming a bunch of ×2 voids would be kind of the optimal route to go. So, but Miscreated Monster, let me pull him up here. I think with him being an epic, and a non-void epic, he's a lot more realistic to actually acquire during a ×10. So, now, for someone who is a high spender, who is really struggling in spider progression, might be worth it to go and pull a few ancients and a couple sacreds to maybe go for Miscreated Monster, because he can be really game changing in terms of helping you progress in the spider. If you're someone who's a free to play / low spender, again, you're still gonna want to wait for a ×2 to get the most value and bang for buck out of your shards. But if you're a decent to high tier spender who's really struggling in the spider, Miscreated Monster can be an absolute carry because of all of these shields that he's gonna place for you. So yeah, in that case, he's probably worth going for. Just keep that in mind when you're weighing your options here. It's really only Hegemon and Miscreated Monster. I mean, Doom Priest is nice, yes, but is she worth like slamming a bunch of stuff for an event? Is she gonna, you know, completely revolutionize your account? No, but she is nice to have, admittedly. Doom Priest is a good champion. But obviously, in my opinion, the crown jewels of it are going to be Hegemon and Miscreated Monster for reasons that I have kind of talked about here. But I will quickly touch on the other ones just to kind of wrap up the topic. Bistafis is in this. Bistafis is an attack champion, not worth pulling shards for in the event, so I can kind of keep that short. Soulless is in this, and he is actually pretty good. But again, if I were pulling voids, I would definitely want to go for Hegemon instead of Soulless. But Soulless gets a bad rap. He's actually not that bad. He's a pretty good champion, and he's just insane for Night Rev Faction Wars. But he is actually decent. He's just not worth slamming a bunch of shards for. And then we've got Tomb Lord, who is also gets a really bad rap, but is a decent champion, just not like godly. But Tomb Lord can be all right. Again, kind of same story as the other ones, not worth slamming a bunch of shards for. And we covered Doom Priest. She's solid, just not worth really going crazy. And then Miscreated Monster is worth kind of going crazy. So if you are the type to spend money, you can go that route. And then Faceless. I've seen some people do some cool things with Faceless, but I haven't really gotten into testing him a whole lot. He can hit super hard with the Ice Bolt, ignoring defense, and I've seen people use him as kind of like a DPS carry for Faction Wars. So again, a niche champion with some fun things you can do, but kind of staying with the general sentiment of not really going to be, worth slamming a bunch of shards for this times 10 Night Rev event starting tomorrow, unless you are a very specific type of person. And Whisper, but not a whole lot to cover there. Whisper is a decent, average damage dealer type character. She was the prize for Amazon, or not the prize, but the reward for the Amazon Prime partnership with Raid. But yeah, not a whole lot to talk about there. She's an average damage dealer. All right, so now getting you caught up with everything going in the game. We've got tournaments going on, all over the place, obviously because of the fusion for Gerptuck. And I do have lots of videos, or not lots, but a couple of videos on my channel covering if I think the fusion is worth it. And then I actually have a maxed out Gerptuck that I took for a spin. I booked him, I tested him, and I did a dedicated video on him. But just to kind of summarize, my general synopsis on the Gerptuck fusion is probably not worth going for like 60 or 70% of you. For those of you that are in the top, 20 or 30%, have a decent amount of resources available to you, spend a decent amount of money, sure, why not? Collect a legendary and leave him in your vault in case they rework him, in case they fix him. And he can be decent in some endgame scenarios where you build a specific team around him, and he can be decent in Faction Wars. But is he worth spending a bunch of money and going crazy and throwing everything you can at the game to try to fuse the guy? Not really. He's not going to change your account for an early to mid-game player. He's not like a god tier legendary that's going to help you super progress into tougher content. He's just not. He's more of a niche, build a specific team around, and his kit is designed kind of wonky in terms of how the cleanse works with his poison mechanics. So not a huge fan of his current design. I think there was some potential there. I think it was a cool idea. I just think the kit doesn't synergize super well. So that kind of summarizes my thoughts on the fusion. And obviously this Fire Night tournament that just launched today features the Bombardier that is part of the fusion. So the Fire Knight's a good dungeon that you could always kind of get your book and peace out, and then check and see if you're in a winnable group to see if it's realistic for you to go after the Relentless gear. It looks like the top two are going to be both epic sets. Now typically they go epic and then rare, or legendary and then epic. So both top two rewards being epic is kind of interesting. They might be trying to give a little bit more incentive to get a little bit more participation in these, because it has been kind of low for the last month or two in terms of getting people to participate in these tournaments. Now this one just launched, so participation isn't going to be super high, but we're seeing a trend of only like 10% of people kind of participating in these and going after things like these rewards on the right. So they're probably going to try to push us up a little bit. Okay, you'll have to kind of weigh your group. Whenever you can get an epic or legendary book, it's a good idea to do so. And the Fire Knight's a pretty decent tournament. You can get the stun set, is probably the stun and the shield set. You can get some pretty cool, Faction Wars and dungeon, type sets, and immunities good in the arena. So Fire Knight's a crit damage savage. Pretty good gear in the Fire Knight, especially if you're going to build a specific character around that gear set that you're featuring. But yeah, my recommendation for these tournaments is typically get your book, gauge if your group is winnable or not, and then kind of go from there if you want to work towards the Relentless set or not. And then in terms of events, make sure you are keeping an eye on this artifact enhancement event. If you're watching this today, pretty soon when it comes out, make sure you're keeping that in mind. Don't be upgrading artifacts to like 12 and 16. Wait, you know, the 14, 15, 16, 17 hours whenever you watch this. Wait until tomorrow and really capitalize on getting some you know, ancillary rewards for your silver spent. So don't be upgrading artifacts today. And you know, we've known about this coming because it's all in the plan here in the news post. If you go down to Legendary Fusion, you can see, you know, artifact enhancement event, and it's all listed right here. So you can see here, artifact enhancement 2, May 22nd. So we knew that was coming. So hopefully you were planning ahead and not slamming a bunch of silver into artifacts so that you can double dip here on some rewards. But yeah, you're gonna want to keep an eye on your dungeon divers because that's ending in about a day and a half, and there is a legendary book and a void shard up for grabs. So maybe, you know, extra incentive to participate in the Fire Night tournament, and make sure you're keeping an eye on those dungeons. I also want to get you guys caught up on the offers in game, so let's go ahead and plug these in for the day, and we can kind of see what's going on. Okay, silver is 600k, and energy gems is going to be 600, XP 10, and 10 energy refills. So these double XP packs are usually very good for a lot of you early to mid game players. Sometimes end game players who are, you know, average to high spenders have a bunch of XP saved up, like 10 to 20, 30 weeks. Now if your XP boost is less than like 2 or 3 weeks, these offers are really good to help you kind of get your XP refreshed and get some good progression in terms of energy and gems. So these usually grade out over 2, which means they're pretty solid if you are low on XP. If you have a bunch stacked up, it's just an average buy and not really a good one. Not a whole lot to cover there. And then these ones are typically good for newer players who really need the chicken and not so good otherwise. And then energy gems 900, 40, 80, 160 for the brews. And we've got 10 5-star chicken. Yeah, this pack I think has been pretty much the same for a while. And yeah, it's $70 is too expensive. If this were like $50, $55, I would be a little bit, you know, more neutral on it. But yeah, at $70, I would rather spend my money on shards or account progression, like energy and gems. I mean, I guess you could argue the 10 5-star chicken is better than spending the energy to grind food, but no, it's too much. I would rather have like the 80 energy refills than the $70 of value that you're getting here. But if you're a super new player who has summoned some champions that you are really excited to rank up and you're a pretty high spender, then this offer isn't too bad for you. The 6-star, no, this one, these need to be like 1,000 energy and 1,000,000 silver. And then that would be more in line with something I would be willing to be neutral on, but this is too much. $25 to keep 1 or 2 pieces of this is too much. We would much rather pay for the energy or gems or shards. So yeah, that's gonna kind of do it. Let me put this away, and you know, just to wrap up, remember tomorrow is a ×10 event for the Night Revenant, featuring Hegemon, Soulless, Bistafist, Tomb Lord, Doom Priest, Miscreated Monster, Whisper, and Faceless. And don't upgrade your artifacts until tomorrow. And the Battle Pass is not canceled. It is just delayed, and you can expect the next Battle Pass to go live sometime in July, unfortunately. Don't hate the messenger. I'm with you. I wish the Battle Pass was coming tomorrow or, you know, a month ago. I'm with you. I'm just letting you know it's probably going to be July, unfortunately. So, yeah, as always, have a good rest of your day. Thanks for watching. Peace.